All right, everybody, welcome. Thanks for joining this. We got a live stream. Rodent. We're in Asheville. Can you believe that? We're in Asheville, North Carolina. We're not in Los Angeles. What? What's up with that? Let's start with that, man. Tell me about it. If you don't want to start with that, we can start with something else.
No, it's cool. Thanks, Brian, my friend, for having me on your channel with you. But yeah, I live in Asheville, North Carolina now. I moved here from Los Angeles 4 months ago to take a full-time position at Make Noise. I like the shirt. I actually have one on too.
Oh, that's a nice one. Is that all it is? What's on the back?
Oh, it has like the mask, like lightning bolts on the back.
Oh, that's a nice shirt. That's an older one. They don't.
Yeah, we
is that still
did this one, the maths 5-year, I think.
Okay. Yeah.
And like we were all at NAMM wearing these, and I think that was right around the same time when we launched the No Coast.
Yeah.
And the TEMPI
behind here.
Yes.
Yeah, but yeah.
That's a fun little synth right there. I still find new stuff in it all the time, constantly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so I was working at Analog Haven in LA for about 8 months before moving out here. Yeah, I mean, I was a part of like the testing, the beta testing team for Make Noise forever, was one of their demo reps. Worked for them at NAMM for 3 years in a row, I think. Yeah.
Yep.
So we would kind of always joke, like, hey, maybe one day we're going to have a job for you at Make Noise in North Carolina. And I was like, hey, that would be awesome. And this spring that actually like kind of came around. And
see, because that's interesting, because I came to visit in the winter, right? It was like January when we were hanging. This is when we first met. And so we were out for some Indian food. And we were just talking, and one of the themes was sort of just like the hustle of the big city, like just hustle of life, you know, and just like, and the talk was kind of like, maybe move to the mountains, maybe move to the East Coast, you know. It's just like, what are you talking about? And a few months later, here we go, and it was like a real thing.
So, and my partner, Bana Haffar, she was not able to move at the same time that I was, or when I needed to get out here kind of right away and join the team, and had to go with them to Super Booth. We were showing like the new firmware update for the Morphogene with the user definable options.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Which is pretty awesome. If you have a Morphogene, I definitely highly recommend checking out those new options. Yeah, so I got out here, and Bana came out here for the 10-year. She performed at the main show, the 10-year Make Noise anniversary. Yeah, she gets here in a week. She's wrapping up LA right now and moving here. So she gets here in a week, and I will be really, really relieved, because basically by the time that she gets here, it's probably, just about 5 months apart, and we only got to see each other for like a week. Yeah. And that was during the 10-year, and
exactly.
We had so much going on that it wasn't like real, quality time to be able to hang out. So
and you all that are on here, I think most of you saw that short little video. It was a little bit longer, but the thing when we were, you, me, and Bana were walking.
And Sean.
And Sean was there too. Yeah. He actually didn't make it in the cut because he only contributed one thing, and I ended up cutting out that section. So nobody knows that Sean was there, really. Yeah. But yeah. So that was when that happened. Yeah. Well, that's pretty freaking great. So we're in this like interim spot right now. This is the current studio. This is the temp studio until like the full real deal happens.
Yeah. So this room is a room that I'm renting from some friends here in Asheville, right down the street from Make Noise. 5-minute walk to work in the morning is not a bad ordeal.
Right. Compare that to driving around LA.
Oh yeah, compare that to driving an hour in LA traffic to Analog Haven.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is just a room I'm renting. When Bana gets here, we have another place lined up that we're gonna move into, and then the whole full studio gets reassembled, which I think that probably the synth stuff that you see here, this is about, I don't know, maybe 20% of what I was going to say, yeah, about maybe 20%.
Sure.
This is just a rig so that I didn't completely lose my mind of not having a system at home to make music for upcoming releases and stuff.
You just posted on Instagram like a live thing or something, or a story or whatever they're called. Not the story, but... And it was your old system.
Oh yeah,
right? And you're like looking forward to like putting together
photo of me and my rig that was just like, yes, it's coming soon. There have been multiple times when making tracks and making pieces for some new releases just with this system, where I'm like, oh man, if I had my whole rig, I could kind of like just really process this a little bit differently, kind of how I really want to. I guess I've made a lot of compromises, even with a system this size.
Yeah, for real.
Know, maybe that's
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Be careful what you know really end up with. But I mean, I don't know. There's so much in this rig that already that it's really fun and capable. You know,
it's great to focus. We were listening in the car the other day when we were heading out for some river dogging, for some hiking, and what was coming from that was great. And it's all focused, you know. It's like it's for the thing that this can do. You know, you can't do everything with it, but you can do a lot with it. I mean, okay, so wait a minute. There are 2 morphogenes. Yeah,
2 morphogenes. There's 2 dual looping delays.
Right.
There's an verb. There's I thought I had 2 maths in here, but I don't. There's 1 math. There's a marbles. There's the one module that I have to point out that I was telling you, this thing is like a home run every time.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Is the Noise Engineering Loquelic Iteritas Percedo.
Yeah.
That thing is so badass. Planer. I never leave home without an IntelliJ planer.
Stages is new in here right now.
Stages is actually that's loaned from my friend across the street. Yeah. Piston Honda Mark III is so badass. I made a whole bank of wavetables for it. I'm bank 7 in the preset wavetables that it ships with. Yes. Surchai is bank 8. I can't remember who bank 6 is. It might be Joey Blush. And then all the other ones are Governor Blacksnake, a.k.a. Scott Yeager, a.k.a. the Harvestman, my good friend. I'm trying to think what else is in here that's like really stand out. The WMD Overseer stereo filter, I really like.
Oh, yeah.
Black and Gold, reissue QMMG. Still running a Phonogene. Never leave home without the Phonogene.
Yeah. Looks like Akemi's not doing this patch, but the patch we listened to in the car, there was Akemi's Tycho.
I really like the Akemi's Tycho. I really like Platts. Voltage Block. I'm not using it in this patch, but this patch that I had set up was yesterday after work. I was like, you know what? I want to make some EBM. My friend was asking me to play at the bottle shop this weekend.
What's EBM?
Electronic body music.
Oh, okay, body.
So it's kind of like industrial-ish. I mean, like Nights Reb's pretty electro-industrial. But I was thinking about, like, you know what, I haven't really made any, like, I've made plenty of industrial stuff, plenty of, like, EBM stuff. It was a little more early on in, like, my modular journey. I'm a little more into the, I don't know, glitch beats, glitchy ambient stuff now.
That's totally what we were listening to. It was like you take away the glitchy beats, and it's this like dark, ominous ambient thing is what we were listening to.
It's like glitchy. It has a glitch in it too.
But right. And then, but then most of the layers were all of these, like, you know, I'm gonna say it, Richard Devine kind of things it makes me think of, but it was like more organic. It was like this. I can't say it. It was like this crunchier.
I like to think that the piece that we were listening to, some of the real like kind of micro percussion stuff.
Yes.
I do draw some inspiration from Ryoji Ikeda. That's for sure.
Oh yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
I really dig his stuff a lot. I've seen a couple different performances of his now.
Yeah. There are installation pieces, right, that he's doing, or is
one was an installation piece
mixed up with?
I went to one of the live shows in LA. No, that was just it. Yeah, it was. One was an installation piece that was super crazy with car stereos.
Yeah.
And then the other one was like a full-on, really sick show.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. I really like his stuff, and his micro percussion is as about as on point as you can get.
And I didn't think we would just jump into this right away, but I kind of do want to talk about this because we were talking about it a bit in the car. Let's actually talk about like the micro percussion approach, like how you're getting things to go into things, you know, using the DLDs or whatever to get that kind of like, what is the general thing for that? You know, how do you go about doing that? Like I could say for how I approach ambient, it's kind of easy. Like I could say, yeah, I kind of do this and this and this and this and this works. But like, I don't even know how I would go about getting a bunch of all that happening. So where would we start?
Well, some of my like micro percussion stuff that I really like, and some just modules straight out of the box that are really good for them are the 2 HP drum modules. Okay. The hat, the snare, the kick, they're all really good for micro percussion stuff. If I'm
because the samples that are already on them are like...
No, they're not samples. They're just... Okay. They synthesize them, and you can just set them really short.
Right.
The attack transients hit right. The noise source and how metallic the hat is really... It's just proper.
Yeah.
One of the other ones that I really used for a long time for micro percussion is the Mysteron.
Yeah.
And you can really do it with that as well.
Our Benny's rocking one of those in his case now. I just saw his video.
That's
today.
Amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I was just at Make Noise today. I was doing some real metallic bowed string stuff with it. And I still haven't really heard that, you know, many modules that really do metallic bowed string stuff.
Yeah.
Like the Mysteron.
Yeah, and it is definitely way more metallic because he has it in his case next to 2 rings. You know, way more metallic than rings can get. Like rings goes the other way.
Yeah.
Okay, so have you ever listened to Jan Jelinek?
Yeah.
Loop Finding Jazz Records, right? Yeah. I was so into Loop Finding Jazz Records. There was this time when I first heard it, a friend had put on what is the Planet Earth? The David Attenborough Planet Earth thing, but then muted it. So it was just the deep sea, like all the creatures that are like way down, and then put on Loop Finding Jazz Records. And the two were syncing together as if it was like Dark Side of the Moon and
Wizard of Oz.
Yeah. It was amazing. So when you say micro percussion, like the way some of that, the tiny little sounds, and they're just
like
sort of subtle,
very like sharp attack transient.
Yeah.
Like
not a lot of decay.
No, like literally next to no decay. It's like all transient. Some are metallic, some are more synthy.
Sure. Some can be softer and more like rounded pops and stuff.
Yeah, they could be a little more rounded, but primarily really fast, hard attack transient stuff.
Glitched CDs. I mean, that's the Ikeda kind of thing. Like
there's definitely some of that. And then one of the things that I was telling you that I really like to do for glitched rhythms is I use the 4MS dual looping delay. To me, it's definitely one of the best delays in Eurorack for sure.
Super clean, super tight, great with the rhythms.
Yes, but what's really awesome is as you modulate the delay times, you don't get pitch changes.
Exactly, right.
And that is really awesome with
that kind of
with percussion because then you know your pitches of everything aren't going all over the place, and realistically, the infinite holds that are on them. So using, different gates for the infinite holds, using different modulation sources for the
time,
for the CV, for the delay time.
Yeah.
You can really, things will hold and then modulation will go up, so it'll be like,
So you hit a trigger, hits the hold, it is repeating, and then you're still modulating it during it, and it's going or actually it's not pitching, it's just or
Yeah, it is a great tool, and then it's the same thing for running ambient through it.
Okay.
It's a good way to add a completely different kind of out of kind of context layer or aspect to some ambient stuff. That
recontextualizing a pad or something.
Recontextualizing or sometimes I'll make an entire ambient piece, and then the last thing I'll run it through will be the dual looping delay.
And still
just have it still doing somewhat of a glitch out on it, but it just, I don't know, it works really well for multiple different things. It's definitely right now for sure my favorite delay in my case every time. So good.
Nice. When I was using it, I was always panning the two delays hard left and right and putting them on different divisions, odd divisions and stuff, and having one, sequence going into it. It was usually Renee would be playing the SDOs, they would be shaped by usually Just Friends, and then it would be heading into that. And then the two would just be ping-ponging everything.
Yeah. Well, I do something really similar, but then apply the modulation and apply the gates to the holds.
Right.
And then every once in a while, I just did a piece the other night where I used the gates for the to reverse the buffer.
Occasionally
also.
Reversing too.
So doing a little bit of reverse.
Where are your rhythms coming from in this? How are you approaching rhythms?
So my rhythms primarily come from a few different sources.
Yeah, I can see a few that I can think of, yeah.
I will use the TEMPI for main master clock stuff.
Yes.
I will use that for generation of rhythms. I use
rotating.
Yeah, I'll use the shift register or
rodent mode.
Rodent mode in the TEMPI. Yes, I contributed a mode to the TEMPI and a few other awesome functions in there as well. So I use TEMPI. I use Renee for gate sequencing all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Super change it up on the fly.
Yeah.
I'll have certain rows, gates set on, off, whatever in a pattern.
Just a 4-step pattern, you mean?
It'll be a 4, or maybe I'll have an 8, but then the bottom 2 rows, or maybe if I'm doing vertical, I'll have them all set differently, and then it's so easy on the fly.
Change the mode.
For just to maybe I can act like I know what I'm doing. Yeah, just to turn a few rows off, and turn a couple on that are different gate patterns to where it's so easy on the fly to change gate programming on it. It's amazing. And then I'm not doing it here, but doing that and having a clock go into the Y when you're in snake mode to change the snake mode patterns means that, yes, you changed your gate pattern, your access of your stages for different gate patterns, but then you're also changing how what pattern that your clock's actually moving through those locations.
Yeah, exactly.
So
that was what I used to do all the time.
Crazy evolving patterns of gate
When I first got Renee, I thought I was addressing the X clock and the Y clock in the same way, but I hadn't realized I had snake mode on all the time. And when you have snake mode on, you're changing the mode.
Yeah, you're changing
not actually
the different
just
snake
clocking
patterns.
it. Exactly, the different patterns. But that made the best vibe. I was getting all this really cool stuff that way, and that was a great way of taking what was a normal sequence, and it would be this longer thing. It would become this 64 bar or whatever, sort of deal.
Hey, there's Bana calling.
All right, nice.
We'll call her back.
Okay, fair enough.
But I will say this: one of the other things I've been using a lot lately for rhythm programming is I've been using marbles.
Yeah.
I've been using marbles a lot. I like that.
Use the red mode in that? The red rhythm mode?
I use the red rhythm mode. I use the branches mode because
I do that.
Here's my branches right here, which I would normally use branches a lot.
Sure.
Or something very similar to branches that I use all the time.
Oh, I know where you're getting at.
Is the Noise Engineering Integra Funkitis, which is a 4-channel probability gate removal.
Yes.
With CV control over the probability, but I just kind of normally play it by hand.
CV control over the probability of not each individual, but of the whole thing, or is it of each
individual?
Oh, it is individual. Okay,
yeah.
Great.
Which, honestly, for like gate and trigger programming stuff, I can't recommend this thing anymore, man.
Probability
it is like
makes everything
It
alive.
is amazing. Like I'll run like the rhythms that marbles will make through it to still pull a couple out.
Yeah.
I'll run my Renee sequences through it to pull a couple out. Like, or you can flip it all the way up and it lets the same rhythm through.
Yeah.
Like there's...
It's a really performative.
It's very, very...
Oh yeah, right, because there's 4 knobs. Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And then the top one is normal to all of them. So you can run one clock signal into all of them, set them all for different probability amounts.
Same rhythm.
Yes,
cool.
And then you can...
Yes.
You have different variations at all the different outputs, which to me is uber useful.
Probability is huge.
Yeah.
It is so much everything, and I didn't really get deep into that until marbles, pretty much for me. But I have been using the red rhythm mode, the kick snare pattern one, a lot. It really, like, you know, I mean, the green mode, the branches mode is great, and it just ping pongs. You know what I mean? It's always back and forth like that. But the kick snare has more of a repetitive thing. It feels a little less random.
Yeah.
It's like random jumbled beats in a way.
Well, one of the things that I like to do is if I'm doing it in green mode, I mean, you can see like my deja vu is froze up right now. And like, you know, when you have it on 8, you're going to have that same 8-step, you know, repeating pattern of those gates.
Yes.
You know, unless you start, you know, adding jitter will affect that.
Yeah.
But
whereabouts do you have your jitter? Like around 1 o'clock? I mean,
right now
10, 11 o'clock?
Right now it's at almost noon.
Yeah, just like a little under.
I'm not using, you know, marbles isn't in this patch that I'm using right now.
Oh, it isn't even in, yeah.
It just depends. Like one of the things that I've been doing also is like a clock signal that I run to it will be multed from the original clock signal so that I can add jitter to the main clock output through.
Yeah.
So then it basically gives me 3 different sequences or kind of gate rhythms from one clock signal. Yeah. So to me, that's really useful.
The jitter on it is amazing. I tend to keep it around 10 or 11 o'clock for just a little swing. Yeah. You know, and then if you go up to like 1 or 2 o'clock, then it starts getting weird, you know.
It definitely gets weird.
Go between those.
I had it like over at 3 the other night, and it was like...
It's almost fully random,
It was pretty out there for sure.
Yeah.
It was good stuff.
Awesome. Okay, so that's some of the technical here. I think I have an idea of, you know, how you're getting some of these rhythms, like either from marbles,
one of the other things that I use a lot is the Mystic Circuits Vert.
You were talking about that.
So this thing is awesome. So it basically samples an incoming signal, and when you run like a modulation source into it, you feed a clock signal into its clock input. You tell it when to sample, and when it samples, it breaks it down into, it is a byte, so it has 8 different bits. You have it has 8 different outputs, and when it samples, if the bit is on or off is whether you have a gate output at one of the outputs of the module. Okay. One of the 8 outputs of the module.
So it's like a nano way of generating rhythms from whatever you're feeding it.
It's so good. Especially when you're using like the clock that you're going into it is a light clock of your master clock of like other sequences. It generates really, really good, really cool rhythms. And the thing that's awesome too is it has an input of like how much of the input of the incoming source you're allowing, because you can have it to where it only does it for 3 outputs or 4, or you can turn it all the way up and it will go to all 8 outputs. So you can kind of restrict it to maybe half of it, you know, I don't have as many drum modules in this case as I would in my whole rig to put 8 of them, you know, to run all 8. But Yeah, normally what I've been doing with this is I think it's been like 4 of them.
But that's yet another performative like thing to turn to change things, you know.
Yeah.
Like we're talking about the funkitis, you know. We're talking about you know, the vert, and marbles is all sorts of knobs to turn to get things happening, and Renee being so performative with the hands. So all these things are like very accessible,
and that's
places.
That's totally like my thing, is like when I make pieces, or whether it's like something that I'm going to record and, you know, for release or for a show, like my thing is like I like to play this thing live. I do a lot of hand play, like sequencers where you really, you know, have, you know, sit there and really dig in and make like a whole show of sequences that you save, and then you're just scrolling through different sequences to recall. Like that was never my thing. Like that was why I got away from, like, you know, menu diving drum machines and that kind of stuff. Like I love the immediacy of this stuff and just the hand play of it, man. Like the jammable aspect of it, the live jammable aspect. That's what appeals. That's a major thing that about modular that appeals to me, and especially the stuff that I pick out. I want it all to be. I want to be able to like live jam it, because not just with the patch and getting happy accidents. Like you get that with playing it too. You know, like you know. There's
turn the knob.
Yeah, there's always that aspect. There's always that ratio of like, yeah, I got some weird probability stuff going on and random, you know, interjected all in this thing. I'm going to get, you know, a significant percentage of some happy accidents here.
Yes.
But then when you couple that with, you know, how you're playing it live, you can get more, they can get accentuated, or they can get, you know, they can get kind of snuffed if you need to, you know, if something's like way out of whack, you know, which happens, you know, but I mean, it's just back to like a real basic modular principle that is total control over all parameters at all times. That's what I love. That's like, you know, and 2 hands is not really serving me as well as I kind of hope, but that's why I got a ton of modulation in here.
Well, and now when you say total control, like total control meaning is the total amount of control that you could humanly have in a patch, because so much of it is random. I mean, we're wrangling a random thing. I mean, this is generative music. It's the idea here. It's using random. It's using layers of clocks or rhythms, you know, like, I mean, you're talking about putting a clock into a thing, into another clock, into another clock, and then, you know, layering things so many times down that you don't know what it's going to do, but you know that the points of contact that you have, the knobs that you're going to turn, are going to change things within a probabilistic, like, range, to where if I do this, these type of things are going to happen. If I do this, these type of things are going to happen. And so you play the probabilities, right? I mean, that's the idea.
There's definitely a lot of that for sure.
Yeah,
definitely. I do like to use the planar and multed CV outs to multiple different locations. I don't know. It was over here. I have the Sound Machines light plane also.
Yeah, I threw it over that way. It wasn't plugged in, so I
that with its with 3 CV outs simultaneously, whether it's X, Y, or Z, like the amount of skin that you have on it. Being able to run those into a buffered mult and run them out to a ton of different stuff.
Yeah, when you're talking about 2 hands.
Minimal, that's a very gestural is what I was trying to come up with. Very gestural, real-time controller that you can send that modulation out to multiple different destinations to, you know, slight movements can end up creating extreme changes in your patch, and you know, can move it to a completely whole different world, or a whole different just completely different place, you know.
Yeah, totally. So let's look on here. What do we have? What are people saying here? Because we all right, let's look on some of it. What I see the unclick the static option. That was before. Oh, that's funny. We're talking glitch and the audio is glitching hard now. Stop talking about glitches, maybe.
Okay, maybe.
So Marbles saved my live performance in April. Yeah, exactly. It was exactly the missing piece of your rig. So what I wanted to know is, does anybody who's checking into what we're talking about here? Which, by the way, I don't really know who's on even now, and I can't seem to make the screen. Yeah, the stream health is low. Our internet is low here. But anybody that's on, yeah. Does anybody have any questions? I mean, what you want to chime in with what we're already talking about here? In the meantime, while we're waiting for those to come in, I actually want to talk about what I thought maybe I'd talk about in the beginning, which is this guy here. This guy, he is like. I call him a couple things, but one of the things I like to say, I noticed this when we were at NAMM, and I like to call you the modular shepherd, because it's like you have the herd and you're gathering everybody together. So we were like at NAMM, a good like physical example of this. We were at NAMM and there was a group of us and we were like walking to go have some dinner, and every like 20 seconds. Rodent's hand would go up. He was like way ahead, and a bunch of us were behind. His hand would go up and be like, I'm over here, like, this is where I am. He was like the beacon so that we could all stay together. And I noticed that before, when I first met, I guess this is when I first met you, when we went to that show that Bana played.
Yeah.
Where was that? What was that called?
That was at La Cita in downtown LA.
It was downtown, exactly. And so I go there, and this guy's like, hey, Mike Dobler, check this out. This is Lightbath here, and he does this, and man, he does this. And he's like saying, you always seem to be connecting people. You always seem to be like, hey, this guy does this cool stuff, and this gal does this cool stuff. You two should know each other. Like, hey, this dude over here is doing this. You should check this out. You know,
and I think like Tom was with us that night too.
I met Tom Hall for the first time. That's
Tom
right.
Hall,
Mike Dobler, Tom Hall, even met Bana for the first time there too.
Yeah, that was when you met Bana.
Yeah.
I guess when I first got into Modular too, I had some really, really awesome people introduce me to everybody else.
Yeah.
And and one of those people was Cyrus Rex, the person who I used to run the Muffwiggler store with.
Yeah.
And if any of you remember when Muffwiggler had, for about 2 years almost, had a store. And I was one of the people that ran it with Cyrus, but he always introduced me to everybody. He had been in a Modular already for over 5 years, and just, I don't know, I'm doing for other people what people did for me.
Sure.
And it's like, I see somebody that's bright and talented, or people that are got into this stuff and then are super enthusiastic, like Pablo in LA or Patrick O'Brien. Yes. Or like all kinds of different people. They've become friends. They're part of the community.
Yeah.
Like plenty of people like held their hand out to me to help me into this, and it's like that's what I want to do. And have been doing, from what everybody tells me, for a lot of other people,
Yeah.
like Bana's another good example. Like, yeah, she's my partner, yeah, she's my fiance, but before any of that happened, she got into Modular, and I was the one that did her like intro workshops and taught her like how to patch some things. Not everything. She is like totally advanced, like guru status now.
She had a deep musical background before coming to Modular.
She's a professional musician where she just needed to learn just the ethos of Modular and how it functions, and and how CV works and CV processing and sequencing and once she started to grasp that stuff, she picked up on this stuff really, really quick. But it was like, I spent a lot of time with her, just like going over a lot of the basics,
Yep.
you know. And I mean, now she's just, you know, doing records with this stuff, doing shows, like all kinds of stuff, like,
totally.
like killing it, you know. She's
totally.
taking the ball and running with it, but, you know, I'm just trying to do what people did for me.
Yeah. You know, you say community, and I started really feeling the modular community when I visited LA. Like, it had always been this, like, internet thing. It was Instagram. It was, you know, it was YouTube. And it was the first time I felt in real life community. And so you were exemplifying that, you know, because it all branched out. It was like LA, Rodent, community, you know.
Modular on the spot.
Right, yes.
That's another reason,
one
of the things that, you know, Banner and I started Modular on the Spot.
Yes.
One of the things that we wanted to do was we wanted to make music with our friends and meet new people that were into what we're doing.
Yeah.
And you know, share that enthusiasm, you know, what it's for modular or whatever, or maybe, you know, some people show up to Modular on the Spot that were just into experimental electronic music and like weren't into modular. Like, that was cool, but you know, we wanted to do something with our friends that was just fun. It involved our modular in the total opposite of a club show.
Yes.
Somewhere outdoors, comfortable, inspired by being outdoors, and you know, and just try to bring a bunch of friends together. And I mean, that's literally really what it was, and then, or really how it started, but then it's kind of transitioned, it's only changed a little bit since then, and that's just really into the aspect of it is a community hang, get together for modular synthesizer enthusiasts. Yeah. You know, and if other people want to come and check it out, sure. You know, there's plenty of people that came to Modular on the Spot that were like, you know what, this is awesome. I want to get a modular so I can play Modular on the Spot.
Right.
I've seen it happen so many times.
That's great. Gateway drug.
And like, you know, I wasn't intending for that to happen. You know, if it's inspiring somebody, if this inspires somebody, then cool, that's awesome. Because, you know, I had people inspire me to get into this. And then after I got into it, I realized, like, wow, this is the interface that is actually allowing me to make the music that I always wanted to make. And for that, I'm grateful. Yep. And that's why I try to share
that's what's being shared.
This as openly as possible with whoever.
My Mott sets have been my favorite sets to play. And that LA one just felt so good because there were so many people there. And like those people, so many people that I knew there, you know? And so, the community, Let's just see. Somebody, looks like David wrote something here. Can you talk about that first night when you were outside Sedona? What was going through your head when you both brought your gear playing out in the... Oh, you! Yeah, this is great, David. David lives about 15 minutes from Sedona. And when I visited David, we drove through the area where apparently you conceived the whole idea.
Okay, so my previous job for many years was a professional photographer working in skateboarding.
Yes.
I was out in Phoenix, Arizona, shooting photos with a professional skateboarder named Aaron Homoki, also known as Jaws. You can look him up online. He's a total living legend. So I was out there shooting photos with him for about a week or two, and he's really into techno. So I was like, you know what, hey, I'm going to borrow a speaker from my friend. I'm going to bring a modular rig. I'm staying with you at your house. We're going to just make techno every night. I'm going to show you how this modular works. Because he came to my place in LA and was just like, dude, what are you doing with all these wires? Like, wait, how does this work? Like, I don't understand it. So one of my goals was when we weren't skating at night was to show Jaws how to make some techno with a modular. And that kind of didn't really end up working. But the thing that I wanted to do was Bana was going to come out to, she took the bus from LA to Phoenix.
Oh, wow. That's a ride.
Because, I mean, it's only like 5 hours or whatever.
Oh, okay.
But,
well, yeah.
But because since I already had my car out there, she didn't need to drive another car.
Yeah.
And then we could ride back together.
Okay.
And she came out, and I had all the camping stuff with me.
Yeah.
Also. And we went camping. So it's... God, what is that freeway that goes from Phoenix up to Flagstaff?
Exactly. I don't remember, but we were on it. And in a minute or two, David's going to put it in here.
I can't remember. It's like the 35 or something. I can't remember what that...
Here we go, 17.
17,
Great.
Yes, the 17.
So now we know about the latency of this live stream.
She had never really seen Sedona, so I was like, hey, look, we should go up there, just try and find some off-grid camping.
Yeah.
So we went up the 17, and it's the southernmost real direct turnoff that takes you up into Sedona. We basically got off there and turned right instead of turning left, which takes you to Sedona.
Yes, okay.
And we just went out in the desert that way, like
in the middle of the two, where nothing is, basically.
Yeah, just really
just beauty.
Found some spot, and that's where we camped that night. And we got there, and I was like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna make a fire, and then I did that, and we'd already put the tent up, and she was like, let's set the modular up.
Yeah.
So we did, and we set the generator up and started jamming, and then...
David's like, yeah, it's 260. He passed my house. Yeah, that's where we were. David and I shot some photos out there.
That's totally funny.
Yeah.
So we did that.
Yeah.
And there was like a rainstorm coming in, and so we put everything back in the car, and literally like...
Yeah.
Maybe 10 minutes later, maybe, we're in the tent and it's raining.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I had just like, I don't know, in my pocket or whatever was I had this little field recorder with me. And I recorded the sound of the raindrops on the rainfly of the tent. And I mean, they sounded like plucks out of like a Optimus.
Yeah, you had to pull tight.
It was... so cool. And then later I ended up finding that recording, and like we had gotten back, and then another month or two later we did a trip up the Oregon coast and did camp out with the modular and plane, and that was where we kind of really were like, okay, we had fun in Arizona, we're having fun up the California Oregon coast doing this, we got to do this in LA with our friends.
There you go.
And that was where we came up with the real, like, okay, you know, I came up with the name, like, we're gonna call this Modular on the Spot.
Yeah.
And
it's good branding.
So we did, and then I found that recording later of the rainfly.
Yeah.
And I remembered that, like, oh, I made this recording the actual first night that we really kind of started the idea of Modular on the Spot. So what I ended up doing was I made a splice in my Morphogene of that recording, and I ended several different sets that I played live with that. And I would use
sets or just like club sets or whatever?
mod sets, club sets. When Bana and I went to Tokyo to play Tokyo Festival of Modular last year, I ended my set with that. And she knows every time that if she hears that, and when my set's ending, she knows that if she hears the raindrops, nobody else knows except for us. I think Basic knows now too.
Right.
But like, it's only like us really that know that like that was from when we first really kind of started the idea for Modular on the Spot.
Right.
Which means a lot to me.
And I wonder if people even know that if it might even sound like it's synthesized too.
Yeah.
Does it even sound
people
like
will think that it's like something that I actually made with oscillators or whatever.
Right.
One of the things that I would do though would be I would use the envelope follower out and use that to trigger a pitch envelope for a kick drum. To put a kick drum in with it, so people kind of still thought it was I don't know, some kind of IDM thing or something, but.
Well, that's beautiful. And so does that indicate anything like it was a good set? You know, like, oh, I had a good set, I'm going to play the Mott's thing at the end, or it's just, you know,
No, I think that it was more like something that, and this message has got out there like a few different times in other interviews and stuff that we've done, or like people asking me about it or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's just another little way for me to say that I'm grateful to have contributed something to this community and these people, and to, I don't know, man, like be a part of.
Yep.
That's something that means a lot to me.
Yeah.
You know, I know growing up as a punk rock skateboarder in DC, and you know, people treating us like trash and people like not wanting to talk to us at all, and you know, yeah, just it's not really cool.
Yeah.
And I want to be the opposite of that for people that are getting into this, and I want them to know that this is an open community. You know, there's nothing
inclusive. It's a family almost.
This is this is an open community. There's you know, I don't know. Like I started to really hear, or not really hear, but like read some stuff about like, I don't know, on some of the forums online that were like, you know, only like certain, you know, middle-aged white dudes were into this or whatever, and I was just like, well, that sucks. Like, you know, or like they were like, it's like, this is Modular Club and you don't talk about what happens at Modular Club. Like, nah, man, like fuck that. Like that's why at every Modular on the Spot we say, hey, if you have any questions about what you saw here or what you heard, please come up and ask the person that it was during, and they'll fill you in. There's no secrets. You know, we want you to learn about what's going on here. You know, this isn't magic. I'm not like a wizard. You know,
well, you may be, but I mean, it's like you don't have to be.
I have my party tricks. That's for sure. I have my party tricks.
Should we do some wizardry? Should we get some sound going here?
Well, there is a beat going that has. I think this is minimal wizardry because I was kind of going for something minimal, but
I kind of want to do handheld on the camera, so I'm going to disappear from this, but I'll say to those who are hanging now, thank you for hanging, thanks for being on this. We're going to do, you know, you're still going to be able to see from where you are right now, but it's not going to look as great. I'm going to take one of the cameras, I'm going to take Rodent's camera over there, hold it over here, and we'll get the audio, and so, you know, feel free to stick around, or you know, wait for the archive to go up, you know, or the real archive, not the archive of this, but the thing that I edit. So yeah, thanks.
Hey, right on. Thanks. And for those of you that don't know, my social media is at Rodent516. It's only on Instagram. That's all I have.
Let's do this. IG.
Yeah. That's me. Oh, my SoundCloud is soundcloud.com/ rodent-1.
soundcloud.com/ rodent-1.
Yeah.
Okay. So
for some reason somebody else had soundcloud.com/ rodent for some reason. I don't know who would get that, but
you gotta like trademark that shit.
I'll take -1, I guess.
Yeah.